So Tom Brady is going to his 10th Super Bowl coming up this week. First with a new team in his first year, which is truly an amazing feat, Chris.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so it brings up the question that, does greatness supersede your environment? I guess in Tom Brady's case, yes, but is that possible just in general?
Bro, I have thought about this question since the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because I knew he had a chance to make it. I'm tired of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I know you probably watching this. I know you watch every episode of Under Further Review, but I don't like you. And I felt like knowing this was coming, I've thought about it so much, and I feel like the answer is yes and no, which is a cop-out.
So greatness exceeds its environment. It supersedes its environment.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Bro, I think that no matter what environment that Tom Brady would have been in, he probably still would have been successful because he still would have had the same drive, the same ability to push forward. Like, say you took Tom Brady out of 2002 and you plopped him in, 2022.
Yeah.
I think he would have still been successful because technology would have improved. He probably would be even smarter. He would know access to football better.
He would be Tom Brady. He would be like great. So if Tom Brady got his start in Cleveland, right? As opposed to in New England.
Right.
As a young dude just coming to the league, you're saying he still would have ended up right where he is today, multiple Super Bowls, all pro.
Well, that's why I told you. I feel like it's both because you're right. No, I feel like if he played for Cleveland, he would have been 2-3 years in the league and probably been out. Yeah, which is crazy to even say. Yeah. But you look at someone who's had that amount of success and you would say, yeah, he's probably a product of his environment. Right. He's had incredible coaches, incredible talent around him. And then even when he went to Tampa, he kind of cherry-picked his environment and has more talent around him offensively than he ever has. Yeah. So I do think that plays a role, but I also am like, man, sometimes cream just rises to the top no matter where they are. But, I mean, what do you think? I feel like you feel the opposite of what I'm thinking.
I feel the opposite in a sense when we talk about somebody like Tom Brady, because when you look at Tom Brady, like, he's not the most athletic person, right? He has some intangibles that obviously nobody else has that's allowed him to do that. But when I think about greatness superseding this environment, I think of somebody that's just like too talented not to thrive in any environment. I think of somebody like LeBron, right? Like LeBron is so talented that, I mean, he went to the worst team ever. True. He went to Cleveland and made Cleveland a contender, even as a young dude, right? Yeah. And then he leaves and then he comes back as a more mature man and brings them to a title when they were a sorry team. Like a couple years before that, they were sorry. So when I think about superseding the environment, somebody like LeBron, yes, because of his talent, I think so. Yeah.
But do you think even with him that he kind of cherry-picked in the later half of his career, kind of designed his environment as well to be most effective for him?
I mean, I think not to the point where he wasn't necessarily the focal point on any of those teams, right? Like in Cleveland. If you take everybody that was on Cleveland and you delete LeBron James from that equation, they're not winning a championship. No question. No team that he was on would win without him, right? Yeah. And I think the same can be said for Tom Brady, obviously at the quarterback position. But I think when we look at it this year of him being in Tampa, he got a lot of weapons, bro.
No doubt.
A lot of weapons.
Like, I mean, who does he have? I mean, he has Gronk, right? Who came back. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Yeah. He's got AB.
He got Leonard Fournette at running back.
Yeah, man, that's true. Ronald Jones, ain't he the running back too? I mean, they got...
Ain't LaShawn on that team?
You might be right.
So he's not playing a lot right now, but
you might be
so he's got weapons.
That's true.
But I think obviously that's a part of being great is kind of understanding the environment.
That's a great point.
But I wanted to ask you personally, for you, like, do you think as we apply this to ourselves, do you think Chris Burnette, all SEC, like the man you are today, as educated as you are, as esteemed as you are, do you think that was just your genetic makeup or your DNA, or do you think that your environment, how you were raised, mom, dad, brother, where you lived, how you were able to move around and how cultured you were, do you think that shaped you more so than just who you are as like just the talent that you have?
Bro, I think you're right. Like when I think about it that way, it reinforces how important environment is. Yeah. Like I know you always hear in social studies, nature versus nurture, like what dictates what someone is or who their personality is. Yeah. And I think nature has a value, but nurture probably has the most impact because I think about my life. If I wasn't a military kid who lived all over the world, I don't think I'd have the ability to connect with people of different backgrounds, ethnicities, races, etc. If I didn't have my parents, I wouldn't have my mom's brain and I wouldn't have my dad's discipline. Like I just wouldn't be myself. Yeah. So I guess probably for me, the best way for me to boil it down is that everything I have is a product of grace. Mm-hmm. The time frame that I live in is a product of, I did nothing to decide when I was born. Right. The country that I live in did nothing to dictate where I was born. Yeah. The parents I have, the access that I had, etc., any skills, even just something like my height. Like if I was 2 inches shorter, I wouldn't have been at Georgia, you know? So I think you're right, bro. Like it's all a product of grace. Like God gives us every single thing that we get, whether we deserve it or not. And it's like nothing we control. It's all our environment, so to speak. So, I mean, what do you think? I know you grew up in the mean streets of LaGrange. That's news for some of y'all, but no, he Fayette County. But I mean, do you feel like you would have been the same Brandon Boykin, Emmy Award winning, oh my gosh, Paul Horning Award winning Brandon Boykin if you didn't have the environment you had?
I'd like to say, I think we can break it down into two different things. When you talk about like a competitive environment, like no matter if I went to Fayette or Sandy Creek or Sandy Creek was the school that was like putting people in the league at a higher level every year. I think no matter the competition, I would have been want to compete and get to that point because of just my mentality and my DNA. But then before you even get to that point, it's kind of what you touched on like the environment of home and like when you were really cultivating who you are as a person. Like if I didn't have a mom and a dad who constantly believed in me and believed in what I wanted to do, I don't know, right? Yeah. Or we could even take it back to LeBron. Like if LeBron, like you said, if LeBron had a dad, bro, would he have the drive that he has today, right? Like that's what's fueling him. So I think, man, a lot of that is kind of found in how we were brought up. But for me, I think your environment 100% affects your greatness. Yeah. I think in anybody's case, like you said, if Tom Brady didn't have Bill Belichick, he wouldn't have been groomed to who he is now to be able to take that same blueprint somewhere else.
That's real. Like even think about Jordan. Like you and I differ on who we think the best of all time is. I think it's Jordan. I know you love LeBron. I know you love both, but I know you love LeBron. I feel like imagine if MJ's coach his junior year or his sophomore year, whatever year, didn't cut him. Yeah, he probably wouldn't have the same mean streak, and he never winds up being in North Carolina, being the greatest player of his era at least. Like I think that's not debatable. He's the greatest of his era. So those small domino events like can make such a huge impact. Like, would you say there was a specific event for you that like, man, it was like a turning point? Like if this didn't happen, I wouldn't be Brandon Boykin of 2021.
Oh man, that's a couple of those, right? I think early on for me, I broke my leg in high school, and I was like 140 pounds. Yeah. So like that's when I realized I needed to get stronger. Yeah. And so that allowed me to have that mentality.
You definitely got stronger, boy.
I had to get stronger. So I think everybody who becomes great has some type of situation like that where they realize like, okay, this is either gonna go all the way bad or like I gotta take this and move to a whole nother point.
That's real.
And that was it for me. And I know you got one similar, but before we pass up on that, I wanted to touch kind of about what you said about Jordan. I know we kind of moving back and forth, but do you think that Michael Jordan would thrive in today's game as much as he did in the 90s, right? Like he wasn't the best 3-point shooter.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously the game is not as physical now, so I mean he's right. But would he have been Jordan? Would he have been the GOAT? As opposed to if LeBron was playing in the 90s, it might even have been way worse.
You never know, bro. Like I think that's a great question because you think about Jordan's game, it's not predicated on the 3-point shot. But he had seasons, like he had spurts where he really was able to shoot the ball. but like you said, you couldn't play zone, but it also was a big man's league at that time. So, he comes in the paint. That's his strength, getting in the paint. And there's Patrick Ewing, Dikembe Mutombo, Hakeem Olajuwon, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, how much of the difficulty would be removed to make it a little bit easier, because you get rid of hand checking. I don't think that some of the people out there who are way smarter than me, know way more about basketball, say that Jordan would average 40 in today's league. I think that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I do believe he would be the same. He would be just as great, but maybe it's a different type of greatness. Maybe our standards different. Same thing with LeBron. If he was in that era, maybe he would have went 6-0 in the finals, or maybe he goes 7-0 in the finals, because technology is different. Maybe he doesn't have the same longevity, and then vice versa. Maybe Jordan loses sometimes in the finals playing the Warriors or whoever. It's so much.
But
so
be
much
honest
air,
about
bro.
it. Like you see today's game, right? Like you see today's NBA. Everybody can score, right?
Oh, no question.
Everybody can score.
Yeah.
Everybody's long enough for the most part to play defense, right?
Yeah.
Now I remember me and Chris were having this conversation a while ago off camera. And we just ended up looking at this picture of Michael Jordan. He was like going up to do a layup. And the dude that was and the man that was guarding Michael Jordan looked like a 70-year-old science teacher, bro. Like the competition back then was not the same, right? Like you got your guys in the 90s that were like beasts, but across the board, the competition was different. So I bring that question up to you. Would you agree that the competition was different in the 90s?
So I would say the talent is probably more specialized now. I think that guys probably were more general basketball players then. Now you have guys who can dribble better, guys who can shoot better, because that's a part of the aspects of the game that matter. But for me, it's hard for me to discount some of the guys who look less athletic in that period of time, because you think about technology, like, dudes are training now. Then they were working out. Like you were just, it's a difference. Like, it's a little bit more specialized. So I feel like greatness in that respect, like if you're one of the GOAT of GOATs, like if you're the guys who not only is the most accomplished, but the most athletic, most talented, most skilled, I think that can transcend. But guys like Tom Brady, maybe not, bro. So I don't know. I feel like it's hard to even answer that without going around in circles.
I think regardless of the debate, I think it's a little bit of both, like we said. But at the end, it's all about timing, right?
No question.
It's all about timing. Tom Brady ended up in the right place at the right time with Bledsoe getting injured.
That's a fact.
And so he got his opportunity. No different than anyone else. Like it could have been another person or another team that drafted anybody in a different situation. So it's all about timing in my perspective. But I wanted to also touch on the future of now, now and the future. So obviously Tom Brady versus Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is on fire, right? Going to his second Super Bowl in really like three years in the league.
Right, bro.
Really playing.
For real, it's really only 3 years playing.
Who do you think is going to be that future, you can say GOAT or person that everybody's chasing, the rabbit that people are chasing for that top spot in both football and in basketball?
Bro. Oh, man. I think in football, I think you hit the right guy. Patrick Mahomes does stuff that Aaron Rodgers does from a talent perspective, but has the guys around him, the environment that he needs. He has Big Red, your boy, calling the plays. Like, he has all the things he needs in order to maximize his talent. Because I think when it comes to the guys who we've talked about who have been incredible and great and have superseded their entire generation, is that they seize their opportunity. And I think that the opportunity of a lifetime only lasts for the lifetime of the opportunity. So if you're in the right time frame,
did y'all get that?
Hey,
write that down now.
I got that from the GOAT, Tavares King.
I was going to say, quote Chris Burnette. Quote my son. Quote my son, TK.
Yeah, quote TK, man. But I feel like if you have that, if you're in the right place at the right time, you can maximize who you are. And I think Patrick Mahomes is that guy in the NFL. I think if he beats Tom Brady, if he's 2 championships in 3 real years playing, an MVP, probably 2 Super Bowl MVPs, it's hard to like drop off significantly from that. And then in the NBA, bro, like I think that there are so many guys who are still trying to fight for LeBron's spot. Like, LeBron is still the guy. He's still the number one player in the league. He's the one who impacts the game the most. And my thing is, because of that, no one's really taking the mantle.
Yeah.
People were thinking it was Kawhi.
Right.
I honestly thought it was going to be KD, but his injuries and stuff, but he still has the opportunity. But if I were to pinpoint one guy who's like early in his career and has the ability to project to be the guy, like the GOAT who supersedes a Jordan or LeBron, it's either Luka Doncic or Zion Williamson, bro. But I think Zion only because his work ethic is incredible. He has the talent and the body, and he just supersedes. Like he's one of those dudes that are just so rarefied air when it comes to talent that he could do it. And Luka has just accomplished so much. Like if you even compared his rookie season to LeBron's rookie season, it's better than that. It's just really a matter if he has the team success in order for him to reach that height. But we'll see, man. What do you think in football and basketball or even baseball? I know you played that as a kid too.
Man, I'll just say football up top. I'll second what you said with Pat Mahomes. I think people only put greatness in a box that's synonymous with winning, and he's done that so far better than anybody.
Right.
But like I think because Tom Brady has set such a high precedence in football, and because LeBron has set such a high precedence in basketball. They're each going to get compared to those type of dudes no matter what, right? So if Pat Mahomes goes to win 5 Super Bowls or 6 Super Bowls, like he didn't go to 10 Super Bowls like Tom Brady, so will he ever reach that GOAT status? So I mean, like a lot of that is just like, time and God's grace, like you said, not getting injured, having the tools around you. And I think he's on track to do that. Basketball wise, I don't think I'm gonna give it to Zion. I think Zion needs to develop his game a whole lot more, fair. Right?
Yeah,
like he's explosive, he's quick, he's fast, but like at some point people are gonna find a way to stop him from getting to the basket.
That's true.
Maybe they won't. Maybe
you never know.
Maybe time will stop him, right? Maybe he's just not gonna be as explosive as he used to be.
That's a good point.
He's gonna have to learn how to shoot, have to create his own shots, and I don't think he can do that right now. I would say somebody that I think people really sleeping on to be great.
Yeah.
And they just gonna not necessarily turn it on. They're already there. They just don't get the attention because they haven't won. Is Jason Tatum.
Really?
Like Jason Tatum.
Okay. I wouldn't expect that.
Jason Tatum has everything in his bag. Like go look at some film of Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum scores against anybody. He done dunked on LeBron a couple times in his career.
That's true.
He can dribble, he can shoot, he can create his own shots. But he's still young, right? Like he's on like 21, 22 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
And for me, that's kind of who I'm thinking will take that torch. And I think people will see that in a little bit.
I like that. That's a good pick, man. I know you used to be or were about to be a Duke Blue Devil, so I should have known that might have been your pick. But bro, like, would you say that if someone is just supremely talented, they are incredible at what they do? Like, take a James Harden, someone who. He's clearly unstoppable. Yeah. He clearly is someone who everyone has to game plan around, but never has the team success. Like if James Harden on the Nets never wins a championship, do you think he's still considered an all-time great? A guy who supersedes his entire generation, like a Charles Barkley or someone else who just never got the opportunity to win it all. Like, would you blame him or would you just blame his environment being the issue?
I don't think I can blame his environment anymore. The man created a super team, right? You got KD, James Harden, and Kyrie, 3 of the best scorers and players in the NBA. Like he had. I think if anything, going to the Nets could actually hurt his legacy a lot more. Yeah, right? Like when he was in Houston, he was doing everything he can, won MVP. But the argument could have been like he didn't have the tools around him. Right. But now that he's with Brooklyn, like if he doesn't win, it could tarnish his legacy, right? Yeah. Like it could tarnish his legacy.
That's a good point.
I think that's a real reality, not just for him, but also KD. Like people already know, like I ain't on the KD bandwagon. I feel like that team. I feel like that Golden State team would have won without him, regardless.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But he went and he did what he did, right? Right. His rings have asterisks around them.
I can't put an asterisk on it.
In my opinion, KD's rings got asterisks around them
because they still play the super team. LeBron, hey, K Love before he got to Cleveland was a man. He was an MVP candidate.
No, before he got to Cleveland, that's what you said.
That's true. That's a good point.
So that might be a conversation for another episode.
No doubt.
KD's rings have asterisks on it. That's what we're going to say for this. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
But he is on the team with James Harden, two of the best scorers to ever play the game. Both of these dudes have to absolutely win. If they don't win, I'm talking about like soon in the next year. I'll say after this year, they got one more year. If they don't win, the legacy might be torn.
No, I think you're right, bro. Like they don't have much time. Yeah. They have to execute. It's win now or like you said, legacy could be tarnished. That's the difference
between LeBron and the other dudes, right? Like when LeBron created a super team, they won immediately.
That 2011 series against the Mavericks now with JJ Barea shut them down.
You're right about that.
But you are right though. Like for the most part, when LeBron said, "Hey, this is where I want to be," he may have created that environment. He still had to come through. He still had to make the thing work, and he did it everywhere he went. So I do think that there's greatness tied into that for sure. So I mean, the last thing, man, like we're talking about greatness in our environment, how important it is. We talked about ourselves a little bit, and we know that, National Signing Day is coming up, February 3rd, I believe. I know they have the early signing period and all this other stuff nowadays. But if we were to look at those guys now, we had a conversation with class of 2021 coming into Georgia, coming into really any school across the country that's playing Power 5 conference football. What would you tell them when it comes to their choice? Like, do you think that, hey, whatever you decide here is going to make the biggest difference? Or do you think you can be great wherever you are? Similar to what you were saying, if you were at Fayette County or if you went to the school across the town, you would still be great. Like, what do you think you would tell those guys coming up?
Man, I think looking back, after you've already completed it, I would tell them that you got to go to a place where you're going to have ample opportunity. Like, to be honest, because it don't matter if you're a 5-star, 4-star, it's a learning curve, right?
True.
There's a learning curve. So if you a 5-star and you go to Alabama and you're not ready to play, I don't know if Alabama gonna groom you as hard as another place that might need you to play. You know what I'm saying? True. So go where you are needed if your goal is to get on the field, right? Like Alabama got 5 stars on 5 stars on 5 stars, and you might not play until you're junior.
But you're guaranteed a championship.
But you're guaranteed a ring, whether you contribute or not. So for me, I would say, luckily when I got to University of Georgia, there wasn't a ton of depth. So I was able to play, and they groomed me because they knew they wanted me to contribute. Yeah. And so I would say go somewhere where you feel like you're going to possibly have that chance to contribute, and maybe not necessarily early, but that you're going to get a chance to play soon. Don't just go somewhere because they're prestigious and it's 7 dudes in front of you and you might not get on the field.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you said that because I feel like I have the exact opposite perspective. Like when I was coming in and was considering Georgia, there was a lot of depth. Yeah. There was a lot of freshmen playing. Like Trenton Sturdivant was playing as a freshman. Chris Davis played as a freshman. These guys were 2 years older, but they both played as freshmen. And then Cordy Glenn played as a freshman. He's a year ahead of me. Ben Jones played as a freshman. So technically, I was going to say. So technically, there's sophomores and freshmen in the only positions that I could play. Yeah. And the consensus probably would have said, you probably should go to Oklahoma or Stanford or somewhere else where you may have more ample opportunity. But I felt like, for me personally, I needed to be around people who were better than me, to where it would push me higher. Because I felt like if I were there and it was like, hey, you're kind of slated to be A, B, C, and D, I don't think I would have pushed myself as much. So it seemed like it may just depend on the person, like what opportunity works best for you. No question. So I love that you gave that perspective because I think that's correct. And I feel like for me, what I did was correct.
It's crazy to see the difference in perspectives. Like, how we're wired and kind of like why we went there. Because for me, like I needed to know that I was going to play early or I wasn't going to be there. Like no doubt about it, because I needed to mentally and physically know that I had a real shot of playing and that what I was doing in practice was mattered, and that I was gonna get on the field.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good, man. Well, I know we hit on Super Bowl and Super Bowl 55, I guess, is coming up. I don't know the Roman numerals, y'all, so correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But if you were to choose Who wins the game? What's the final score?
Yeah.
What's your prediction, man?
Yeah. I'm gonna go Chiefs. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a blowout, but I just think that they can score at will. Like they score whenever they want to score.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes. Nobody can guard Tyreek Hill in the league. I'm honestly glad I don't have to guard him, and I never had to guard the man in the slot because he looked like he giving people headaches. So I mean, they just had too many weapons, bro. I do think Tampa's gonna score. I think it's gonna be a very good game, competitive game. Tom Brady's gonna score, do his thing, but I just think the Chiefs can score at will. So I'm gonna say 45-30. I think it'll be a pretty high scoring game, but like they're gonna pull away and they're not gonna be able to keep up when it matters. So that's my prediction. Plus Big Red, that's my dog. Shout out Andy Reid again. So I'm gonna go Chiefs.
Man, I have to go with you as well. Ariel is from Tampa. My in-laws are from Tampa.
That's true.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are where I had my 3-day to 3-week NFL career. They gave me an opportunity, so I have nothing but love for Tampa Bay. But man, I think I have to go with the Chiefs for the same reason as you. Okay. So yeah, bro, I think that's all I had. You want to wrap us up before we head out of here?
Yeah, so the question was, does greatness supersede your environment? I think the answer is yes and no. You can be great, but a lot of your greatness is predicated on what's around you, the situation, the mindset, and really just timing. So I think the question is remains to be answered. But y'all let us know. Does greatness supersede your environment? Can you be great no matter where you are? And if it was your destiny, is that how it's supposed to be? If you agree, comment below. Tell us how you feel, and give us the reasons why.
No doubt, bro. I agree. Well said. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also leave comments. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, rate and review. We love y'all. We appreciate all the support. We'll see y'all next episode on The Further Review.